If you could pick anywhere in any fictional universe that you'd want to live, where would you pick? I was thinking about this recently, and as someone who has played quite a bit of the Elder Scrolls games, I thought it's a pretty easy choice. I would just pick Nirn. That would be a super cool place. There's a bunch of magic, cool items, weapons, and places to explore, interesting people to meet, and all that type of stuff. But then I kept thinking and I realized, maybe this isn't the best place to live. So in this video, I'm going to explain why you absolutely, positively, would not want to live in the world of Elder Scrolls. Let's get into the video. First off, I also want to stress that this is going to be based on the idea that you yourself would be sent to this world, i.e. just a normal, plain, boring person. No magic, no divine potential, nothing like that. You are just an average, middle-of-the-road NPC being sent into the world of the Elder Scrolls. So that means life might be a little bit difficult. How difficult? Well, if we look at the average life of the citizenry of, say, Skyrim or Oblivion or any of these other games, the average person kinda lives a pretty similar life to medieval peasants. Farmers, merchants, blacksmiths, town guards, military soldiers, etc., etc. If we scale back all the magical stuff and the wacky creatures, it's pretty similar to real life. And I don't know if you know, but life was pretty difficult back in those days. And not only that, it's going to be infinitely harder. Why? Well, not only do you have the typical threats, like war breaking out almost constantly. Slavery is very common as well, so it's another fantastic addition you could look forward to, possibly if you're so lucky. But there are bears, tigers, lions, wolves, giant rats, giant spiders. Oh, and there's also dragons and magical tree spirits that will murder your ass. There are quite a few things that will just straight up kill you if you accidentally just take one step in the wrong direction. Not only that, but if we continue on with the typical real life stuff, another common, super fun way to die is to starve to death. Now, there is no shortage of stories of people dying miserably and alone in pretty much every corner and crevice of the Elder Scrolls games. You die in a cave, you fall down a well, and you die. You go on a trip, you get ambushed, you die. You get stuck in the mountains, you die. You get what I'm saying here? You see, like, you get what I'm saying. Basically, anything and everything in these games, either real or imagined, will kill you brutally. And the real life stuff can be just as bad. If you run out of food, which is very common in the past, and similarly in these games as well, as they, again, are a slight mirror to real life medieval times, then when you go on trips and you don't pack enough food, then you die of starvation. Fun fact, starvation is considered one of the worst ways to die. Fun. But let's say you're like, okay, I can tough it out. You know what? In fact, I'm gonna join the military because the militaries always have good perks. You get a roof over your head, you get a solid income, you get food, a bed, you get training, equipment. Yes, well, we can also consider the fact that war is horrific and in these games happens very often. So if you're not just murdering each other with just normal conventional weaponry, there's also fantastical magical spells that will murder your ass that you probably can't even comprehend or understand. There's conjured beasts, magical artifacts, insane conjured undead amalgamations. It's pretty awful. And I honestly, as much as it's crazy to say, think it might actually be worse than real life war. Crazy, I know. But if that hasn't convinced you, don't worry, it gets so much worse. You see, in this world, gods are real, and most of them are straight up evil, and have some level of interaction with the material plane. Now, you might think, okay, so it's a bit limited, they can't really interact that much, but as you probably already figured out, I'm talking about the Daedra, and yeah, I mean, limited is kind of just a word here. They have kind of a lot of influence, especially against some random nobody like you. For example, if we consider the Thieves Guild questline in Skyrim, the entire health of the guild is basically run into the ground because one singular individual decided to be more greedy than the average thief, I guess, and steal for themselves. Obviously, if you're a follower of Nocturnal, this means your entire guild is cursed, and you are going to be living in misfortune for as long as she decides. decides. This also doesn't include any of the other horrific shit, or if Sheogorath decides to fuck with you. I mean, Azura screwed over an entire species of elves on her own because a couple of individuals from that species slighted her by becoming godlike individuals on their own. So yeah, super fun. And this is just the average run-of-the-mill horrific divine intervention. We have even worse examples if we consider the Oblivion Crisis, where one of the Daedric lords, Mehrunes Dagon, invaded reality and sent his Daedra to basically raze the entirety of Nirn to the ground. And this was worldwide as far as we know. Luckily, it didn't last too long, but that didn't stop some incredibly horrific shit, like certain towns getting completely destroyed, other regions fighting basically a worldwide war against literal invading demons. So yeah, imagine you're just living your life, average Joe, working the farm, whatever, and a literal portal of hell opens up next to you, and then comes out the biggest, most horrific looking demonic machine you've ever seen, and there goes everything you've ever known, including yourself. Flayed alive, dead, burnt to a crisp. Not a super fantastic way to go. But hey, at the end of the day, sure, maybe you lived a pretty horrific life, maybe it wasn't very exciting, or fun, or in any possible definition of the word enjoyable or safe or not brutally terrifying, but at least we can rely on the sweet release of death, right? Right? Wrong. Unfortunately, it gets even worse. Yes, somehow we haven't even hit the bottom. In these fantasy games and fictional universes, not only do you get to live a horrifically brutal and terrifying and just generally unfortunate life filled with danger, violence, pain, horrific monstrosities, betrayal, every possible negative experience dialed up to 1,000. But no, it is not bad enough, apparently, to just live a horrific life. You need to suffer a horrific and painful unlife as well. Welcome to the fantastical experience of your immortal soul being the property of a bunch of those horrific entities I just mentioned. So once again, these fantastical, immortal, infinitely powerful gods now are vying for your soul. If you happen to, unfortunately, unbeknownst to you, sign your soul away to one of these Daedric lords, you're screwed. Not just for your life, but for literal eternity. They now own your ethereal ass and are going to use it however they please. If we go back to the Daedric Lord of Nocturnal, hers actually isn't that bad. You just have to suffer the minor fate of watching over her realm for all of eternity. Now, she is considered one of the good ones, quote unquote, but there are others that are so much worse. Vermina is a Daedric prince where the mortal mind literally cannot comprehend it because it is so terrifying and scary that you'll literally go fucking mad and suffer 100 million times worse than in your living life. So hopefully you don't fall into that one. Molag Bal is another fantastic Daedric lord who just decides he wants to torture your soul forever. That's just it. That's it. Like, that's his whole realm. It's just, you just get tortured the whole time. Fun. Super cool. Awesome, great, fantastic. If you somehow just fall into the realm of Sheogorath, his realm literally has a maddening effect on you and drives 100% of its denizens insane. Yes, including Sheogorath himself. And you are, once again, up to the whims of whatever he decides. Yay. And if you decide to take the easy way out by ending your life, quote unquote, in his realm, by yourself, then guess what? You will be permanently bound to the wholesomely named Hill of Suicides. So yeah, there is no escape. Okay, I hear you say, well, that's easy. Just don't make deals with Daedra. And I'm here to tell you, it really doesn't matter. You're basically screwed no matter where or what you do. So let's imagine you're just minding your own business, walking along, having a fantastic day, and then a wizard casts a spell on you, and then they stab you, and then they kill you. Your soul has been soul trapped, and they just happen to have a black soul gem. This means that your soul is going to the soul cairn. Now again, I've mentioned some pretty horrific hell dimensions, but I will admit the one that scares me the most is probably the Soul Cairn. It is the most potent depiction of hell that I have seen. Basically, your soul gets sent to this dreary, dry, desolate hell dimension where these gods siphon your soul until there is nothing left. You might survive as an entity that you may recognize for a decent amount of time until your soul is slowly ripped apart. Nothing you can do, whether you made a deal or not. Any and all souls that are captured and utilized by the soul trap spell will send you to the Soul Cairn. Yep, not even just the gods and the evil demon gods want your soul. Pretty much any nefarious individual, necromancer, spellcaster, cult member, etc., etc. If you just happen to be unlucky enough to cross paths with any of these individuals and you can't defend yourself, you are royally and infinitely screwed for the rest of eternity. Not only your mortal body, but your immortal soul. I hope you liked my presentation on why it would absolutely suck to live in the world of Elder Scrolls. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like as it helps me a ton in the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future, subscribe for more. But with that, thanks again for watching. I'm Double Dose, and I will see you in the next video.